Hey guys, we are back at Covenant, and today we have the final tour. Now, if you've been following this series, there's not going to be a whole lot of new stuff here, with the exception of a pair of homes as well as a little workshop area. And I'll go ahead and put a timestamp link in the description, so you can just jump right to the new stuff if you want. I will also link a playlist in the description that includes all of the individual builds that went into this settlement, just in case you want to get caught up or you want a closer look at something that I gloss over in this tour. It is going to be kind of a longer video, so I may move faster through certain parts just to not keep you here for too long. Also, I'm in the process of moving, so I had to set up a temporary place to record this video. So if I sound different or you hear weird noises in the background, I apologize. There's not much can be done other than delay the video further, and I really didn't want to do that. Well, with that said, let's get into it. Before we get to the tour, I just wanted to show off a bird's eye view of this settlement, and as you can see, we've expanded quite a bit beyond the base settlement. A little bit on either side, as well as in the back, and then quite a bit in the front. We jumped over the road and gone clear to the water. In fact, there's a small scout home in the bottom left-hand corner that wouldn't even fit in the frame, and we'll drop down and take a closer look at that in a couple of minutes. Now, with the settlement this large and all the junk decoration, my frame rates have eroded pretty badly, and there's a few points in the video where we're going to drop down to about 15 frames per second, but just bear with me, as that will not be for the entire video. Let's drop down there and take a look around, shall we? We'll start things off by walking along the road that runs through the settlement. As you can see, there are some pack colors as well as some pack mannequins on display, just so everyone knows what territory they're in. Looks like we have a pair of turrets there, keeping a watchful eye. And of course some raider decoration. Looks like a semi-truck that looks as if it's crashed into a pole, with some mannequins hanging out of it. Gotta love that raider sense of humor. Now that brings us to the gatehouse. The commander of this outpost is a bit paranoid and only allows certain people within the inner walls at any given time, and that includes not allowing most pack members inside. And those two guards there ensure that that is always the case. Now, over here, we have a bus that serves as one of two entrances to the barracks, which we'll explore here in a minute. But first, I want to show off the worker check-in area. Now, this Pack Outpost operates several different scouts that go out and find settlements to sack, and sometimes they capture workers to bring back. This is where those workers are brought. They'll be examined, and then it will be determined whether they're going to work in the labor camp that's on the back side of the settlement, or if they'll be moved and sold or traded for chems or anything else that the outpost needs. Well, I'm really happy with how junky that shack turned out. Nice little vendor stall. Even the table there, made out of those cages. Now over here we have the entrance, and we have a couple of can chimes just hanging there, just in case whoever's on duty doesn't hear anybody approach. They'll definitely hear them as they enter or exit. Now, directly in front of us, we have the holding pens, where any of the workers will be brought and wait until they're able to be examined. Well, I guess we know what happens when you put two gnomes in a cage. Let's get out of here. I don't like the way he's looking at me. Now on this table here, looks like someone's been painting their mask. You're going to see a lot of paint in this build. We know how much the pack like to paint things. Now heading into the shack, we have some tools there, as well as a cinder block chair, it looks like. And of course, some handcuffs and shock collars there for any new residents. Looks like a little bit of protection stashed underneath the counter there, as well as some caps. They are raiders, and everybody's paid in caps. Well, I guess everybody in the Commonwealth is paid in caps. Now, heading out of the shack, we have a bench right up against the wall of the barracks there, as well as a little cooking area. And is that a Brahmin skull? Interesting. Now, as we head out, we have a guard area just in front of us. And just in front of that, it looks like we have another lounge area. Some food warming by the fire there. A couple of empty beer bottles. I mean, they are raiders after all. Nice elevated guard platform there. Gives you a good vantage point of the road. Check out who's coming and going. I like how it's built up to the same elevation as the rocks there, so you don't actually need any stairs or ladders to get up on top of it. And here we have everything a pack guard would possibly need. Some food, some liquor, of course some jet. What is that? Ammo and grenades as well? Yeah, I wouldn't want to piss her off. Now, climbing up over this rock, having a little bit of trouble there. We have the outer wall of the barracks. Of course, more pack mannequins. Looks like it's been built out of busted cars and scraps of corrugated steel and wood. And of course, a hanging body. And that brings us to the first of two entrances. Let's go ahead and head inside and check it out. Now, in case you didn't realize it, we're going into a dangerous area. That mannequin got stabbed in the back, and she's just laughing about it. Whoa, another turret? Just in case you weren't wanted here. Looks like we have a little bit of a nuclear waste processing area. Wonder what they need all that waste for. Now this is one of my favorite structures in this build. We have a couple of cars stacked on top of each other with a little doghouse tucked in there as well. Kind of creates a little elevated sleeping area. We can go ahead and climb up on the pallets. And this is the wall that's shared with the worker processing area. And we have my favorite chair in the game. I love that ghoul chair. A little awkward to sit on, but it's a pretty cool chair. Now heading inside, looks like we have a pair of bunks here. Now I imagine the pack members that can't really afford their own housing or haven't scavenged together enough parts to build their own will stay here. So mostly new recruits. They're kind of crammed together. You can see there they have some entertainment laid out, as well as several other sleeping areas here. And we'll go take a closer look at all of them. Looks like this guy has a bit of a chem problem. Be safe there, buddy. So now we can walk back out across the truck, and let's go ahead and head on top of that bus. Got a nice little ramp here made out of a busted up car. And that brings us to another little guard area. Got some ammo and beer up here, as well as another turret keeping an eye out on things. Now over here we have another sleeping area. This guy's pretty open to the elements. Kind of a makeshift tent out of cars, I guess. And this is that bus we saw earlier. It's a little bit of a lounge area for any of the new pack members. You can see they have quite the spread there. Chems and booze. A little bit of food. Not too shabby for the apocalypse. Looks like some ammo and more booze there. Now we have a couple more sleeping areas to check out here. This time we have an overturned semi we can walk up. Just have to climb over the axles there. And we have another seating area. Well, as you know, the life of a raider is one of leisure. Well, and violence, I suppose, as well. Now this can be a bit treacherous, but we can walk along this car here. And we have another small bunk area. A little more private. Open on one side, but I mean, hey, they are barracks. Looks like this guy has left his armor laying around. And this guy over here has some meat drying, as well as some armor. Oh, that guy has a flamer. And a rib cage. Well, hello. Little Russian roulette going on. I think we better leave them to that. Well, that's pretty much the barracks. Let's go ahead and head on out. See what else we can find. I really like these walls made out of the undercarriage of the cars. Nice and junky. Now over here we have a little scout area or a scout home, I guess. Oh, he has his booby trapped. Let's see if there's another way in. And we might be able to climb through this wall here that's busted apart. Hey, we didn't blow up. Now over here we have a little seating area. It appears as we have a hunter here. Got a fresh kill. Some rad stag meat. And of course a very small sleeping area. Looks like he's pretty well medicated and armed. Yeah, scouts are generally pretty solitary. Sometimes they pair up. But this outpost in particular really relies on them for finding fresh victims. Now over here we have another scout area. This one is a little bit more fortified, I guess you would say. No landmines, but a little more protected. We have our sleeping area number 1. Of course, some pack colors flying. And we have a second sleeping area, as well as a rocket launcher. Alright. Now, heading back out, we can see this bombed out van. And they set up a nice turret inside of it. I'm sure that offers quite a bit of protection to the turrets. I know if you've ever built any settlements that have been attacked, turrets are usually the first thing to go. Now, over here, we have the outer wall for the labor camp. And I think we should go check that out. Of course, you have more spikes and barbed wire. Just to further emphasize that this is not a safe place. Although the Christmas lights are nice. You can see a spotlight up there, just illuminating the area for the guard there to the right of the entrance. Want to make sure nobody enters here that isn't supposed to. You even have a little bit of a chain link window there, so you can watch people as they come in. And this is the labor camp. There's some junk processing there, as well as some farming going on. Not sure where that worker was going. I'm sure he won't get far. Of course, another guard on duty. Now, before we head into that shack there, let's check out the rest of this area. Now, up here, we have a little section for any guard to take a rest. Looks like we have a game of solitaire going on. And quite the fan of Nuka Cola. Well, I guess that makes sense. They are from Nuka World. And then up here, we have some leather tanning, as well as a bit of a lounge area. Oh, and look at that. Another chain link window, this time to an area below. We'll have to take a look at that here in a few minutes. And then over here, we have some food storage. Quite a lot of food, actually. Wonder what poor settlement they took all that from. Now heading back out, we have a little grill, as well as another checkers game. Well, I suppose checkers is simple enough. they can really get into it. More leather tanning. And then down here we have another pack mannequin, just in case you forgot where you were. Now heading over here, we have a worker furiously processing out some ceramic, it looks like. Another workstation there. Now let's check out the housing for the workers. Can't imagine this will be pleasant. Just a handful of beds. And that's what that skylight was for. So when the raiders are up above partying, they can look down at the workers, make sure they're staying in line. And then over here we have a decent sized junk pile. Plenty of scrap to process. Even got a nice little blowtorch there. Looks like some valuable scrap has already been pulled out of that. Nice. And this is another guard area. Looks like some shelving built into it there. As well as some beer. And some ammo laid out as well. Well, let's go ahead and check out that shack that we skipped earlier. Oh, there he is. Guess that guy didn't escape. He was just trying to get a better angle on that corn. Looks like we have some potted plants in here. Farming supplies and tools. I suppose that makes sense, being as they're processing scrap and growing stuff. Let's head upstairs. Oh. Got a little bit of a gang war going on, it looks like. Would have figured the bears would have put up more of a fight. And that brings us to the top floor. Bit of a guard tower. With a great view of the surrounding area. Well, let's hop down and check out the rest of this settlement, shall we? Now, over here, we have a worker punishment area. This is where any of the workers are sent that aren't behaving well. You can see out front we have a little bit of a seating area with some food cooking by the fire. And of course, another guard station. Raiders have plenty of enemies. It's important to have lots of guards. You can see there a fridge with some chems and ammo bins. That's clever. Little table there next to the guard in case he gets hungry. Oh, someone should probably drag that car back to the junk pile. And over here, we have our first punishment area. Let's go ahead and give it a little power. Let's see what's inside. Whoa. Looks like that guy didn't make it. I guess sometimes they forget about the people they put in there. That's unfortunate. Now, over here, we have some small little pens. Looks like one of them has a bear in it. I wonder what he did. And of course, we have a worker currently being punished. Looks like a little doghouse there as well. They are the pack after all. There should be some dogs roaming around. And over here we have another cage. Looks like that guy's not doing so well. I'd be careful. There's a butcher over there. And I know for a fact that some of these guys are cannibals. Especially since their overboss is a cannibal. I mean, not Mason, but the actual overboss. There's a little bit of evidence of that right there. More remains. Now let's check out this housing, shall we? Now this is where the workers for the punishment area live. Looks like it's a pistol just laying out. And some more human remains over here. As well as a little chem station. And an elevated bunk. Well, let's head upstairs and see what else we can find. Here we have another seating area. More food and booze. Of course, there's a fair amount of chems there. We can walk over here and see another bunk. This guy has some meat drying, as well as some shock collars and handcuffs. I suppose that's important in his line of work. And that brings us to another guard tower with another great vantage point. This time the opposite side of the settlement. Let's go ahead and jump down and see what else we can find. Now we can go ahead and walk along the outer wall of the punishment area, and we'll come across a little housing section. Now I imagine these houses were built by pack members who don't want to live in the barracks anymore. They've been around long enough that they can piece together their own housing. Not quite scouts, but also not new recruits anymore. You can see this guy's raising some dogs. Looks like he has some rad stag meat just hanging on that basketball hoop. More pack mannequins. A little bit of fire to light your way as well. It looks like this guy has some decent protection. Another car wall with a turret built inside of it. I really like doing that. I don't know, it just offers a little extra protection for the turrets. Plus, building on top of cars is fun. And you can see this structure is semi-attached to the trees around it. Now it looks like we have a bit of an ammo manufacturing area underneath. And a bit of a ladder attached to this tree. And up here we have another guard area. Great place to keep an eye on the road. Well, looks like they had a bit of a rad scorpion attack recently. And over here we have a little seating area. Looks like this guy's been eating steak. Well, looks like they can harvest some rad stag meat there. Or, sorry, wow. Rad scorpion. Too many rads. Let's go ahead and hop down and check out the other housing. Looks like this guy at least has some power there. He has a nice light, as well as some tools. Chem box in the corner. And of course another seating area. Now let's see what's around back. Oh, looks like we have a little private scrapping section with more power. Oh, looks like a makeshift battery on top of that fridge there is providing all of the juice. And up here we have another lounge area. Looks like more checkers. Wow, these guys really like checkers. A little bit of protection there with the basketball hoop kind of blocking their view. Looks like one more shack to look at. This guy has some human remains and a fair amount of booze. And more steak. I want steak. Was that a gnome in a toilet? Hey, you really do gotta love the Raiders' sense of humor. Here we have an overturned van with some seating inside. Oh, and a little makeshift cage. That guy doesn't look so well. Here we have another wall. Oh, with a structure built out of a semi, as well as being attached to some trees. That's got to offer a little extra stability. And of course, a hanging gnome. Why not? Let's take a closer look. Looks like a little bit of human remains mixed in with that trash. Surprised I haven't broken up that pallet yet. Ooh, wonder what kind of meat he's butchering. Well, I think we have our answer there. And over here we have a bit of a shelf from the underside of that car. Oh, and it looks like he's catching dogs with the wires running through a gnome. Interesting. We can walk across these cages here and check out where this guy sleeps. Alright, that's pretty cozy. Looks like he has some comic books there. A couple of caps laying out as well. Here we have a few makeshift batteries and just various tools. Oh, there we go. Looks like we have an artist. Some paint. Human skull there. Wonder what he's making. Of course, we have a turret keeping an eye. Looks like it's pointed inside the walls there. Well, like I said before, the commander of this outpost is fairly paranoid. it would make sense he would have turrets to keep an eye on the inside as well. Let's go ahead and check out this upper level. Appears as though we have another sleeping area here with a ton of booze. Well, these guys really like to party. Looks like another sleeping area over here. Well, there's quite the army at this outpost. And a bear and his psycho. Let's walk away before he runs out of psycho. Let's climb up this ladder and see what we have. Oh, yet another guard tower with a view of the other side of the settlement, as well as the road. Wow, it's real hard to sneak up on these guys. All these towers they have built. I suppose that's the idea. Well, let's see what else we can find. Now, over here, we have a bit of a cooking area. Now, I imagine this area is for the workers. Because right on the other side of that wall is where the workers are kept. So I figure they'll cook the food and then just throw it over onto the ground. And they can fight for what to eat. Now as we walk over here, this is the roof of the guardhouse. You can see they have some fire barrels ready to be dumped on anyone that tries to walk through that's not authorized. This guy's just waiting to do it. You just know he is. Now over here we have another seating area. Quite a bit of weaponry laid out there. I really would not want to attack this place. They do seem ready to fight. And of course you get a great view of the road there as anyone's walking through town. Let's go ahead and take the ramp down and explore underneath the upper area that we just looked at. Oh, that mannequin has seen better days. That is a machete in your chest. Looks like we have a bit of a miscellaneous storage area. More human remains. And just random junk, it looks like. Little lounging area there. Oh, and we have another sleeping area. Nice. And I think we found the reason why they have so much booze. Looks like we got somebody brewing some right now. Well, that takes us around the entire perimeter. But before we head inside, we still have to check out the other side of the road. Let's go ahead and do that now. And now we're back where we started. It looks like they're hanging a mannequin. Just another warning. This is not a safe place. And of course, we have another guard platform. That guy's keeping an eye on us pretty closely. We better be careful. looks like this structure is built out of a pair of trucks with some housing in the bed there. Of course, he has pack colors flying and a human skull. Charming fella. And over here we have another sleeping area. Looks like he just has a little bit of food laid out. Let's take a closer look. Got a fire barrel in the cab there. Some nice cinder block steps. I really like making the stairs out of cinder blocks. They're just the right height for just walking up. Works out really well. Looks like there's a bit of a garbage pile on fire down there. I wonder how they decide what to burn and what to salvage. I guess we can never understand the mind of a raider. Let's check out the other truck. Looks like there's a chair over there, just in case he gets tired of standing. And just some general purpose storage with a handful of grenades. Oh, and a little bit of a pantry. Nice and protected. Now, over here, we have more housing. Oh, is that a synth head holding a lantern? Looks like this guy's a bit of a scavenger. Some tools and scrap laid out. Couple of synth components sitting on top of that crate there. A couple of synth helmets. I bet this guy likes to hunt synths. Either that or he is one. That's pretty doubtful. I guess it's possible though. Yeah, that's definitely a synth head holding a lantern. Oh, and a shopping cart with some human remains in them. Definitely a raider. Now, heading down here, we have a little bit of an animal pen. I'm assuming they're dogs. Or they are 4 dogs. Looks like he's been feeding them people. Well, let's get out of here before it decides to come back. Now over here we have a little bit of a workshop area. You can see some leather tanning outside. And how they use the trees as walls and just nailed planks to them. Of course, we have a little bit of a seating area with some food and chems laid out. These guys really do like their jet. Looks like a couple of masks there. And looks like a jaguar mask that's currently being painted. A nice little workshop. Extra junky. Just how I like it. Now, separated from that, this is the scout home I spoke of earlier when we were in the bird's eye view. And you can see some can chimes there, give you a little bit of a warning when someone approaches. This guy is a bit of a loner. You can see he even has his own boat and a little dock area, even protected by a turret of his own. over here, we have a little bit of a cooking area. Got some meat drying out there. And 2 chairs. Curious for such a loner. Now let's head up on top of this car and see what he has going. Looks like a little bit of a private workshop. A little bit of weapon repair. 10mm pistol all disassembled there. And a little weapons workbench. Nice view of the river there as well. And inside here we have a sleeping area. Nice and protected from the elements. And around back we have a little doghouse. And a bit of a junk pile there. That's probably good for components. And over here looks like a bit of a farm. Potatoes and corn. I'd say he's probably making adhesive. Well, let's check out the rest of the settlement. Back in the main part of the settlement, we can go ahead and check out some more housing. Looks like this container house collapsed. Well, I never imagined they were going to be really good at building things. Of course, here we have a turret keeping an eye out. Let's take a closer look at that destruction. Oh yeah, you can see it just fell right off the supports there. Almost hit this other house. A little bit of a cooking area. Some fish drying. And a bunch of scrap underneath the house there. Let's go ahead and head upstairs and see what we have. Oh, a little modest sleeping area. Looks like this guy's trying to make his own chems. And he's got a great view. Nice. Now walking back up here, we have another sleeping area. Also built out of a truck. Wow, that's pretty cramped in there. Alright. Now heading over this way, we have another container home. A little bit of a bridge there as well. That's kind of nice. Now this is the home of the settlement's armor and weaponsmith. You can see his private power armor there that he's currently working on. Well, looks like it's mostly intact. Then out here we have a little bit of a seating area. Looks like some solitaire and some food out there. And a shotgun turret. And a solar panel. Well, alright. Now I like to imagine this guy was a recruit from the Gunners. Figured he could come here and make a name for himself with the pack. Have a little bit more autonomy. The Gunners seem to be a pretty rough organization to work with. A lot of structure. Looks like underneath his house he has an assistant that can sleep there. And of course his own private scrapping area. Looks like some circuit boards and tools laid out. And an engine there. Alright. Now heading up this way, we have a little bit more of an entertainment area. We have a vendor here selling some refreshments and cooking some food up. Some of his wares for sale there. And over here we have a bit of an arena. Looks like she's had a little bit too much. Let's take a little walk around, see what we have. Nice little seating area with a good view of the fights going on. Looks like they have them fight in water. Interesting. Here we have the cheap seats. You're going to get wet if it rains. And over here, we have a little bit of a chem manufacturing. Don't tell the operators. They're pretty much running the chem market here, at least in a good portion of the Commonwealth. Looks like the pack might be trying to muscle their way in. Looks like a bit more than just personal use here. Let's head upstairs and see what else we can find. Oh, looks like just another viewing area. A little bit better vantage point. We can go ahead and head back down and see another fire there. More seating. I guess these guys aren't interested in watching the fights. Now heading back to the arena, we can see where the combatants are stored before they're tossed in the water. Well, that just about wraps up the exterior. Let's go ahead and check out the inner walls, shall we? So here we are at the main gate. Now let's check out this gatehouse. Now here we have a guard, and her job is to watch that button. Flipping that switch will actually unlock the main gate. And inside this shack we have quite a bit of weaponry, some chems, everything the pack guards would need. Even a little bit of reading there on the table. Now let's go ahead and flip that switch so we can check out the interior. Excuse me there. Now the main gate is unlocked and we can go do some exploring. Of course, one last warning, just in case you were unsure. It's not safe here. Let's go ahead and pop that unlocked door. And here we are, the inner walls. Of course, we are greeted with a little weapons and armor workshop, or sorry, store. Power armor and some regular armor on display. And you can see that big yellow lock that keeps the door closed. Over here we have a counter. Looks like nobody's manning it right now. You can get all the supplies you would need. And then out back here, looks like we have some more weapon repair. A few weapons in that garbage can ready to be worked on. And then inside here, We have some more weapons and ammo for sale. Looks like some ammo pouches on that bottom shelf there. Hey, it looks like he's working on a Nuka Cola machine. Interesting. Got some paint there and some circuitry. Wonder how long it takes to get one of those up and running again. Now, inside this workshop, you can really tell he was a former gunner. Working on a mini nuke there and an assaultron. Pretty terrifying to think the Pack having assaultrons of their own. You can see why the outpost commander wants to have him around. Now, just outside this workshop, we have a small junk pile. Looks like an AC unit and a fridge. Maybe he's trying to build a cryolator. That's also a scary thought. Now, over here, we have the settlement bar. And of course, right outside, there's a seating area as well as a pick-me-up station. Never have too many chems. Little cooking area for any of the bar food. And then back here, we have the butcher area. Looks like there's plenty of meat sitting there to be dried, as well as some fresh kills for any of the cannibals out there. A little bit of buff out and a machete. I guess that helps with the butchering. Let's head inside the bar and see what horrors await us. Oh, there's a skull on a table. And of course, Pack colors on the wall. Looks like plenty of Nuka Cola and booze. There's a chem box back there. Cigarettes, of course. I mean, it is the apocalypse. Plenty of empty beer bottles. Little chem station down there as well. And a little bit of a view, or, well, a really good view of the butcher area. Wonder what they need that radiated blood for. I don't think I want to know. Well, I guess nothing too horrific in there. Let's see what the rest of the settlement has. Now, across the way, we have the brothel. Now, I tried to get more red lights here, and I just couldn't get anything that looked right. So, if any of you have a solution for that, go ahead and leave me a comment down below on what mod might add that in. Now, heading on inside, walking past the working girl there. We have the no privacy brothel. 2 beds right next to each other there. And some handcuffs. A little bit of buff out too. And then over on this side, we have the waiting area. A couple of chairs and plenty of booze so you can, I guess, relax while you're waiting. Now here in the center of this inner area, we have prisoner storage. And right before we get to the prisoner storage, we have a little guard area. So you can see this guy has some food set out, as well as some jet. And on this table we have a little bit of weaponry and some shock collars. Now in here, for some reason that gate is open, we have our prisoner storage. Now this first room is where they store any of the brothel workers. Got a little bed there so they can sleep when they're not on duty, with access directly into the working area. Let's go ahead and close that door. Now let's see how the other prisoners live. Well, doesn't look like this guy's having a good time. I don't even know why they leave the bucket there. Not like he can use it while he's shackled to the wall. Looks like next door we just have a bed. And across from those we have a few other beds. Looks like just the shelter is made from raider cages. Wonder how often they store people in the cages as well. And over here we have another little lean-to shack. Now walking back this way, you can see the cooking area that we spoke of before, where the food is prepared and then just thrown down onto the ground for the prisoners to fight over it. Now, any of the prisoners in this area are designated to either work in the brothel or be sold or traded for whatever the outpost might need. Now, heading back outside, we can go ahead and climb this ladder here and see what's upstairs. Now up here, of course, we have another lounge area. Plenty of booze and more checkers. Why not? Looks like a chem box there as well. Now, any of the pack members that live inside the inner walls are considered personal bodyguards of the commander. They're specifically hand-chosen, and they get to live in here. They have access to, well, the bar and the brothel for one, as well as access to the commander. As far as jobs here at this particular outpost, that's got to be pretty cushy. Well, let's drop down and see where those guys actually sleep. We'll check out the throne room later. First, let's take a look in here. Not too bad for the apocalypse. Couple of beds. Beats sleeping in a car or a rundown shack. You get a rundown house. A few beds. A couple places for personal belongings. Wow, looks like they even have a little private seating area as well. I've seen worse. No electricity though. Fire barrel. Now before we check out that throne room, let's go ahead and see if there's anything hiding around back. Well, looks like just more junk. Oh no, wait, what's that? Eh. Looks like the bears are fighting gnomes in a little arena. Huh. Raiders. Seriously, you gotta love their sense of humor. Well, let's go explore and see how the outpost commander lives. You can see he's nice and walled off there. His own personal turret, as well as extra warnings for anyone who might go in there with the bodies on pikes. Now, heading in here, looks like we have a couple of dog houses. Looks like he also feeds his dogs humans. And of course, we have a couple of gnomes. That one doesn't look so good. Now, heading through here, we just have some creepy mannequins. And just a very spread out junk pile. Wow, that really is a lot of junk. Let's see what we have over here. Looks like a bit of a workshop. No, just food prep. And it looks like some plants for making chems. Though I don't see a chem station. And mannequin storage, apparently. Well, I saw a ladder back there. Let's go ahead and hop upstairs and see what we can find. We have a turret there facing the back of the settlement. As we walk along here, we get a decent view into the labor camp there. And it looks like just a little bit of chemical storage and some booze, as well as a private balcony seating area. And some comic books. Nice. Let's go ahead and head downstairs and check out the inside of this building, shall we? Wow, there really is just a lot of crap laying around here. I do like how junky it is, though. As you can probably tell. Now, you can see the front of this place has been fortified. You have a little chain link there protecting a guard that's supposed to be sitting here keeping an eye out. You have a construction light there, powered by a makeshift battery. And as we walk inside, the first thing you see is his throne. Now as we walk around this barricade, we get a little bit of a sleeping area. And of course some beer on the ground, as well as the end of dungeon steamer trunk. Then on the opposite side of the room, we have a personal terminal, as well as some pretty heavy weaponry there. Like I said, this guy is fairly paranoid. And over here, we have his own personal cage. Got a bed laid out for his own prisoner. Some shackles on the wall, although it looks like they're empty. I wonder if that's who he fed to his dogs. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave me a like. Drop me a comment down below if you have any thoughts about this build or something you want to see me build in the future. I'm currently deciding on what to build next. I think I've narrowed it down, but I can always use more suggestions. Subscribe if you want to see when my next video goes live. It'll be the start of a new build series, so that should be pretty exciting. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And until then, enjoy your time in the Commonwealth.